Saira has been off doing more Rocky 4 training with her Death Slad Lich teacher. She's been going through the training montage. At the same time, she's also been spending time with the princess, as have all of you, because she is now conscious and awake. She can't really tell you too much about her experiences in the castle, other than a lot of it was spent unconscious. So unfortunately, she can't really give you any relatively useful information.
Well, should we check if she's pregnant?
Saira would probably be she's the cleric. She could probably tell.
I can tell you now, she's not pregnant.
There are quests available, or you can just do fuckery. It is completely up to you.
I mean, I'm down for anything, as long as people stop talking about diddling the princess.
Fuckery.
I'm also down for anything, as long as I'm not getting raped. I'm looking right at Saira.
I mean, I'm not the one who did it to you.
I'm looking at her even harder, like,
I don't even have a penis.
Like this time my eyes are like bulging out, like just staring at her.
In this circumstance, I do believe one would say rivet.
Also, Velnos, before I forget about it, you have to roll to see what you learned with your rune research that you've been doing in your off time in between sessions. Okay, hang on a second. Let me just take a look at the list, and we will figure out what the fuck you got, because you may have gotten the one that you initially wanted to get. So, Velnos, you learn the symbol to imbue stiffness. Which means anytime you put that rune on something, it immediately becomes erect in every way possible. You basically have the Elven rune version of Viagra.
A froggy word community.
As he does that, I'm just gonna go invisible.
You go invisible. You are safe from the horror show.
No, come on, I just want to show you a trick.
I use sleep on him.
He is immune to sleep as an elf.
Okay, yeah, then nothing, that does not affect him in the least.
I flip him off.
I'm just gonna come up behind him and whisper in his ear, "Fuck you."
Can I pull a stupid ass reed and try to grab behind me?
So the way this is going to work is, I'm not going to have you do a grapple check because you don't technically know what you're grappling. I'm going to have you do a dexterity roll to try and grab him. So roll a raw dexterity roll. So Cham, because he can't see you, I'm going to allow you to roll a reflex save. You have to beat a 20. You rolled a nat 20. So as you try and do that, Velnos, Curtis leaps away from you enough where he's away from your tendrils. So he tries to grab you, but he does miss.
By the way, he's not going to be able to grab me anymore. Freedom of movement.
Is it somatic?
Yeah, counters grapples.
So when he grabs me, I can just...
Essentially, yeah. Well, technically the spell also has a duration of 10 minutes per level. Which means that would last for 40 minutes of in-game time.
You got an hour of just hanging out.
You're just gonna wait until it runs out and then try again.
He could always ask me to do stuff, but I still feel bad about getting him diddled. So I'm not gonna...
So the others are still just kind of perusing around. You can go up to any of the members of the camp too. There's plenty of people there at this point.
I'm gonna go to because I want money. I want to do what we initially went to do. I want to steal some shit. What about you guys? You want to just steal some shit?
I could go for a heist.
So Gregor would be the one to do that, right?
Yeah, since he's a member of the Thieves Guild, he can point you in the right direction.
I'm gonna go up to Gregor like, "Hey Gregor, I see that I want to do some heist. I want some money."
Oh, you want to rip off the Dragonborn? That's a good idea.
Gregor, between you and me, fuck those guys.
I'm in love with the other frog.
I'm just gonna look at him like that SpongeBob meme where he's like, "What?"
You don't remember when Kane tongue punched his asshole?
That's not what I was asking, Gregor.
Well,
I'm
I want to let you know we're gonna be family soon.
I'll officiate if you like.
I'm just gonna look at Saira like, deal with this. I'm just gonna
Alright, he winks at you and also says, "Nah, I'm just kidding with you. It was meaningless sex."
I'm still gonna look at him like,
It is painful, isn't it? If you actually do want to steal something, he does know of what may be a stash of various things that the Dragonborn have stolen from the settlements they've burned and destroyed. And it's a weapon cache that's located northeast of where you are. And
now we could do that, Gregor. Or you try to rob one of the bank carts for the extra money. They gotta transfer gold from city to city, town to town, wherever they conquer.
They really only transport gold back to Blackscale Palace. And the problem is the only way we had into Blackscale Palace collapsed underneath itself after we escaped.
Well, here's the thing. They still gotta go to Blackscale Palace. We can always hit it in the middle.
So you want to hunt down a convoy that is full of plundered treasure to try and steal the wagon in order to get money.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Gregor.
Okay. I mean, you can do that.
How about you, Saira? You want to
Hi.
plunder some cart full of loot, some gold, to fuck them dragon bones in the ass? That's what I want to do.
I don't know what you're doing with your voice anymore.
I don't know what you're talking about, Saira. This is how my voice is. Always has been since day one.
You are weird, but I like you, Lord.
I'm gonna look
I
at
think
him.
it's just him.
I'm gonna look at Gregor. I'm gonna give him a thumbs up with a shiny tooth.
He gives you a thumbs up and smiles. He's missing a few teeth.
All right, I do believe we can just head on then. We're going to be stealing things. Sounds wonderful.
All right. So if you want to actually steal a convoy, there is something that Gregor knows about that might be of interest to you. It is directly to the north. It's probably a couple days' ride. But they've noticed that there is something that's been going across the desert. It's not a convoy that's being pulled by, like, you know, a desert lizard or a camel or something. It's some kind of magical device that's going across the desert, some kind of transport machine. And nobody can really say what it is, only that it kind of hovers over the desert. It doesn't actually touch the ground, so there's some kind of magic involved with it. They said that it's been going back and forth to deep within the wildlands because of all the different things they've been plundering from it.
One thing I gotta talk to Vilnos. Hey, Vilnos.
What?
I just got an idea what you can start doing with their vines. You could literally start slinging shotting yourself through the fucking desert with your vines.
Wildly unfeasible for him, especially since there's nothing to grip onto. What is this?
I did manage to make a skateboard before with the vines.
Well, here's the thing. You can always make a wakeboard.
You would also need some way to propel that wakeboard forward.
Well, he could always use his vines to grapple onto a freaking moving force and just ride his way through.
What about a dirt bike?
Too many mechanical parts.
What if it's just the frame of a dirt bike?
You could do that.
I can stick a motor in it.
You could ask the dwarf engineer if he could build you something like that.
A motor powered by sands.
That does not exist. You know what you
Alright.
could use as a power source, though, if
What?
it was charged again. You still have that crystal from Raka's weapon quest.
Oh yeah.
You could charge it with something and use it as a power source.
What can I charge it with?
Well, considering it's charged with dark energy, you would probably have to do something like that.
What if I cleanse that crystal?
Do you have the ability to do that? Because the last time you tried to do that, it interacted with your crystal and almost killed you.
What if I pay someone to do it for me?
That's fine. You would just need to find somebody to do that for you.
Good point. So we're in the middle of the desert. Who had the ability to do the portal fuckery?
That is Arch.
Why is there a specific reason why you want to go somewhere?
He wants to go find somebody to build him a magical bicycle.
All right.
We can do that. We can do that after our heist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
so-
no. I think that bike would be useful for the heist.
I mean, if you could find me souls, I could entrap them in the crystal. That's something I can do. I mean, it depends. How many souls to the gallon do you want?
Let's find people to kill.
Well, I mean, that's quite what we were doing with our heist in the first place. If you assist us in stealing, I can assist you in feeding whatever demon there with souls, and mutually beneficial.
You know what? That's actually gonna be my quest. Screw the wooden bike. I want the dwarven engineers to build a normal bike frame out of metal, but the engine is charged with souls. The more people
Okay,
you kill and tap into that thing, the faster it goes.
All right, so what's going to happen is Scrappy, the gnome engineer who is at your camp, you basically give him the general idea of what you want, and he says that he will try and build you a frame that can house the crystal as a power source, which he should be able to do because he's a gnome engineer and he's also a smith that knows how to use magical items. So he can make that for you. It's going to take a little while. It'll probably take at least a few days to make the frame and get everything all set. And he will also be pausing Flying Raft project, which he's using for Kane, so you can take down the dragon. That will only take a couple of days. But the other thing is the massive, the cargo thing that's moving from the Wildlands to Blackscale Palace is only about a day's ride north. So are you guys going to ride? Well, actually, technically, you don't have most of those old creatures because Arch sacrificed all of them. So you just have your normal riding abilities. So Cham, you have your dragon. Velnos, you have Whopper Jr. And Arch, you can't really ride on your dragon.
As the next level of Bone Knight that I took, I now have the ability to summon skeletal steeds whenever I need it.
Okay, so you have a skeleton horse now that you're riding on. You can also do that for any of the other guys if they don't want to take their pets.
Sure, if you like.
I'm gonna lean in onto Saira. Like, we always make a couple stays to pull a cot, and we can both be hanging out with our dragons. You know.
Would you like to try that again in English?
I'm gonna look down, I'm gonna look up. We could always summon steeds to pull a cart.
You do still have the wagon, even though you
We
don't
do.
have the scorpion that pulled it.
Yeah, that is what I am insinuating.
I could do that.
So you guys can have the dragons go with you. Fafnir has pretty much done a lot of what he's already been doing at the forge, but they've forged most of the stuff they need. They just got to put the parts and stuff together. So he can come along with you if you like.
Yes.
So you guys are going to ride in the wagon that's being pulled by the zombie horses. Velnos, I'm assuming you're just going to ride on Whopper Jr.?
Yeah.
Good. So you guys have all your rides together. So you guys, like I said, it takes you about a day to get there. So Cham and Arch, you guys are basically just arguing with each other in the wagon for like a day over semantics, while the two little dragons play with each other. Fafnir is also the more dickish of the two. As you get close, basically the route that you believe it's been taken was marked on your map by Gregor. So you come to the area where it is, and Arch, you know this because I'm assuming you're telepathically linked with the horses.
Oh yes, very much so.
So you know when you reach that area. So you guys come upon this. It's in like the Dune Sea, basically, that is the desert. So you can see where the tree line is to the wildlands, where the area where all that jungle kind of starts. But then you can also see the dividing line where it reaches into the desert. So you guys are kind of behind a pretty big sand dune at this point.
All right.
I'm gonna climb up to the roof of the wagon.
Okay, you do. I'm not gonna make you roll for that. You do so.
I'm just gonna be prepared until we see it.
You do see what looks like a smoke cloud going up into the air, but you also notice that the smoke cloud appears to be moving.
I'm gonna like gripping onto the roof. I'm gonna lean into the window. I'm like, it's Mia.
I'm going to assume that means that we've seen something, and what I'm going to do is get this wagon hidden while you two take care of business. Or did you need my help in this?
I'm gonna look at like, bitch, you helping?
All right,
All right.
you can admit if you're incompetent. It's fine.
We
So-
can always use a fuck. And it just
Drelark?
fucking
I think he's
I'll
begging
pull out-
for it.
I'll pull out my dagger. Like, don't do it, bitch.
No, I'm not the one who said you were begging for a fuck. Fantastic work, Frog.
So Arch, you're gonna hide the wagon. So if you back it down the sandhill, you're able to get it to the point where it's definitely out of like eyesight, and you can. I'm assuming you can just despawn your horses whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So you just despawn those to hide those. You can bring them back at any point in time. And Velnos, you're gonna leave Whopper Jr. over by the wagon, I assume, since he's pretty large as is. So he'd kind of stick out. But you guys are basically going to be able to look out and see where this area is. And again, that smokestack is going through the wooded area, the jungle, and it's getting close to where the jungle meets the desert. Are you going to do anything for preparatory, or are you just going to wait and watch and see what you see?
Would it just be a sheer intelligence trying to figure out where exactly where it's going to pass by?
If you're going to figure out where it's going to pass by, yeah, I'd roll intelligence. Like, you can kind of tell because you can see the smokestack, like, moving. But you can, if you want to roll intelligence to see if you can pinpoint exactly where it is, you can.
That's a 17.
You're able to see that it looks like it's moving in a fairly straight line, and it also doesn't seem like it's being impeded by much, which means that and you can hear trees cracking as it moves through the forest, like it's some kind of a giant animal.
So I'm going to go not directly in front of the path that I assume is going to be. I'm going to be somewhat slightly off of it to the right. I'm going to bury myself into the sand.
Roll a stealth check for me.
Will this be a high check?
Yeah, actually, sorry, it would be a high check.
He's gonna have a huge bonus to it because that fucking shapeshifter armor.
Oh, he almost hit a 20 on that, but 24 is more than enough.
I'm going to be prepped to leap. So
That's fine. You can dig yourself down into the sand there. Based on the positioning that you calculated, you kind of put yourself in the sand as the smokestack is moving towards. Keep in mind, as far as distance goes, Velnos and Arch, he's probably gone down about 100 to 150 yards in front of where you are. You guys are at the top of a sand dune. He's down in kind of like a low-lying area where he's buried himself waiting for this thing to come. But you do know where he is. Do either of you guys want to do anything to prep for this, or are you just going to sit there and watch?
I'm going to sit here and watch for now. There's not much else I can do.
Velnos, is there any preparatory stuff you want to do?
Nah, not really.
All right, so you two are going to wait, and Cham's going to wait. So as you guys wait, the smoke cloud gets closer and closer, and eventually you see break through the front of the trees what looks like a giant, it's almost like a cylinder, kind of. It's basically like a floating box car, it looks like, off of something like, or an elongated wagon, but it's not touching the ground. It's floating with some kind of magical power. And you also see on the sides of it what look like kind of like metal shutters that currently are closed. But you can tell by the outline that there is something there, and it probably opens. The rest of it, there's a little smokestack in the front that looks like it's billowing smoke out of it, which is what you saw going through the woods to begin with. And it's just kind of chugging along across the desert. Again, this thing is fairly large. As far as size, from what you can tell, it looks like it's roughly 50 to 60 feet long.
I'm gonna prep a jump to jump onto the side, and I'm gonna like suction myself onto it.
It's probably right, like you're probably about the same distance away from the forest as Arch and Velnos are away from you, so it's about 150 yards. So you have more than enough time to prep for this. And again, you guys are watching from the hillside, so Cham, I'm going to do your thing first, and then we'll go back to both of them. So if you're going to jump on it, I'm not going to make you roll a jump check because it's not going to be that far of a leap. I'm going to have you roll a climb check just to stay on the side of the thing, because it is a flat metal surface. I'll say that's enough, because I mean you're a frog and you're basically a tree frog. You're able to stick to the side of it enough where you don't fall off.
Suction.
So you're stuck on the side of it, and again, it's on the side of it where Velnos and Arch can see you now, because you obviously stick out a semi-sand black armored frog just on the side of this thing. So Arch and Velnos, what do you want to do now that Cham's riding this thing?
Oh look, Drelark, Moadib caught a maker. I think it's time to go help.
I gotta agree. That's cool.
She's gonna start walking down the slope.
Well, you can walk down the slope, but I don't know if this thing is constantly moving, so it's not stopping. You might need to do something in order to catch up with it.
Gonna summon her horse and just start chasing after.
Are you summoning one for Velnos as well, or are you going to make him improvise?
He's got his own damn thing. They don't need my fucking hand holding all the damn time.
All right, Velnos, what are you doing?
I'm whistling for my boy.
Whopper Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay, Whopper Jr. runs up next to you, and you hop on his back as your mighty steed rides forward. So Velnos and Arch, what I'm going to have each of you do is you're going to roll ride rolls to get up alongside of it, and then you're going to have to roll jump rolls to get onto it unless you have other means.
I have a surprisingly okay riding skill.
All right, Velnos, you rolled a 19 for your ride. Arch, ooh. As your horse starts, speeding up to try and get alongside of it, his front hoofs actually hit a rock, and he falls forward, jettisoning you off of the horse. I'm going to give you a reflex save to try and grab onto something on the train. Otherwise, you're going to hit the ground. I'm going to say if you roll above a 13, you'll be able to grab. All right, that's above a 13. So as you're flying forward, there's kind of like a little handrail thing that's on the outside of it. You reach your hand out quickly and grab it and pull yourself in before you're able to hit the ground. So Velnos, the only thing that's left is you're going to have to try and get on the train because you aced your ride rolls.
That would be a jump.
I was going to say climb, but if you want to roll jump, I'll allow it. Whatever one is bigger. Ooh, okay. So Velnos, so you kind of try and do the same thing that Arch basically did by accident, except you missed the handrail. I'll give you a reflex save like I did with him if you want to try and use either your hands or your vines to grab onto it.
Reflex? Okay.
It's a reflex save, yeah. All right, that's definitely more than enough. Are you using your vines, or are you just going to try and grab it?
I'm going to try to grab it.
Okay. After you jump and miss, you whip your hand around, and you manage to get one hand on the railing before it, or on the little handle there, before it actually stops. And before you fall face flat into the sand and just get left in the dust. So all three of you are now on board this device, except you're all on the outside of it.
Freaking push my ear against the top. I'm gonna do a listen check.
Okay, roll.
While he's doing that, I'd like to do like a search check to see if I can find a door or anything that resembles like a hatch.
So I'll do him first, and then we'll do you. So Cham, you rolled a 9 for a listen check. So the only thing that you can really hear inside, there's only two things. You can hear what sounds like some kind of mechanism inside, which you can assume is whatever's driving this thing forward. And you also hear what sounds like very, very weak voices that are kind of in the background, but you can't tell what's being said. Now, Arch, you can roll. So I'm going to basically say what the obvious is you see that there appears to be hatches on the side, almost like window-style hatches that that they can be open, but they are currently closed. Other than that, you don't really see any other way into or on board the ship, at least not from your current position.
I'm gonna lean into Drelark. I'm like, what's the tiniest vines you have? Like the thinnest.
The thinnest?
Roll that at will.
Use the thinnest vine. Go into the side of the hatch, try to pry it, and use a bigger vine to pry even further.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I'm going to say that this is going to be a strength roll to get it pried open.
Sexual tension is getting much higher here.
Bango, bango,
I was
bango.
going to leer at Saira.
All right, that's enough. So basically what happens is you weave the vine inside the little crack where it meets the window. You don't weave it in too much, just in case there are people inside. And you grow the vine enough to crack the window open, probably about a good, 6 inches to a foot. So it's enough for maybe Curtis to get through, but probably not for you and Saira.
You know what? I'm going to tell him to just break it off. Break it open.
That's going to be a pretty hefty strength roll, but you can do it if you want to try and roll for it. It's up to you, Velnos. Do you want to try and rip the thing off?
Fuck it, why not?
Then roll another strength check to see if you can rip the thing off the wall. No.
So as it is, I'm just going to dive right in.
I'm going to count that as a climb check because you're basically climbing on the side of it and zipping through the window. Okay, that's still enough. All right,
I'm just going to dive right in.
So I am going to roll a d20. Oh, you are a lucky fucker. All right, so you basically do you know in Spider-Man 2 when he gets thrown towards the train battle, when he gets thrown towards the walkway that's over the subway and he goes through it. That's essentially what you do. You just you jump down, you land on Drelark's head, and then you leap right through the window just like that, and you land on the inside like a ninja.